Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is? It's 5 past the hour. It's time for us to begin and start our last episode of the VOD for the week. So why don't we get straight into that? How's it going, guys? I hope you're doing well. I hope that you are having a wonderful Saturday. It's Saturday for me. It may be Sunday for people in later time zones. But for now, I will just say Saturday. So thank you guys so much for joining me today as we have our last episode of the VOD for the week. Now, we had two great episodes. 1 a.m. here? Well, there we go. I called it. Ain't that swell. What was I saying? I haven't been here since, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament. Aw, heck yeah. That Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament was so much fun. I want to do another one. But as for now, I'm doing the voiceover tournament, which I have one of the audio clips. I have one of the I have one of the audio clips that people will be dubbing over. I have it done. So there's a couple more I'm gonna do, but the first one is done. I'm so excited. It sounds so good. But we had two other episodes of the VOD before today, and they were really good. We got to have VSinger, the VTuber, the copycat VTuber, on our show on Thursday, and then we also got to have the wonderful Kevin under the Kotatsu, or just Kevin, yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. And we had a lot of good conversations. There was a lot of scuff that happened too. I mean, yesterday was a lot better than Thursday. Oh boy, somehow I managed to crash my stream, and let me tell you, that sucks. But some good news. I mean, already I already talked about the voiceover thing, which I'm so excited for. Auditions for that will be in a week, and it's going to be a lot of fun that Monday and Tuesday. Not this next week, but the week after. It'll be a Monday and Tuesday. That's when the auditions are, and then the actual event will be on Wednesday. So, if you're interested, if you're a VTuber and you're a voice actor, or you want to get into voice acting, you want to try your hand at it, I highly consider you joining my server and getting that, seeing what we have and applying. Because guess what? Like, we have a lot of people wanting to be a part of it. So it's going to be super cool. Another bit of news. So going forward, I am either going to do the VOD once a week, or the VOD will be earlier in the week on like a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And so I'll probably be streaming twice in one day. Because I realized that because I work overnight shifts, I work from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., sometimes it's not economical for my sleep and for my work schedule, because it means that I am essentially waking up at 4 or 5 in the afternoon and then immediately preparing to stream, then streaming for 2 hours, and I only have realistically about an hour to relax, and then I have the next hour I spend getting ready for work and going to work, because I'd try and leave 20 minutes early to get over to work and get set up. So going forward, we will next week we will only have one guest, and then, which I believe is VTuber Slurmpa, is who we'll be having, I think, either Friday or Saturday. And then Craig, that soldier boy, there it is. Thank you, Bubbles. Always a blast to see you. So we have that, and then in 2 weeks, when the voiceover tournament is, we will be having the great Willow Tree Necromancy on our show, which Willow is in chat. Hi, Willow. So yeah, hopefully you guys can join us for that then. But like I said, going forward, I just want to either cut back the VOD a little bit, or I want to move it to a different time. What's up, pimps and hoes? All that fun stuff. The normal things. That thing. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Cool. I can wait. I got time. Because those points are not getting refunded. Sorry. Yeah, and I'm bored. Oh, I see. Well, hopefully we can alleviate that boredom because we'll get into it very soon. So yeah, join us then, as we will have a shortened amount of VOD episodes, because I want to make sure I'm focusing on quality rather than quantity, because we're growing a lot very quickly, and I'm hoping with the voiceover tournament we can catapult ourselves into a lot more more people to join, because the biggest thing for this is I want to have as many. It's gonna be a fun one. I can see it in foresight. I can see it in foresight. Good. I'm glad it'll be a fun one. But yeah, going forward with that. Oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Lost my train of thought. Yeah, with the voiceover tournament, I'm hoping I can get a big audience. And when I say big, I mean get a big audience relative to my size, because I want to make sure I have a size decent enough to make sure we're getting a good balance of votes on who a good balance of votes for the voiceover thing, because I don't want to have me and my whatchamacallit. Oh, I can't think. Me and my judges. There we go. That's the phrase or word. Me and my judges. I'd hate for us to be the ones to decide. Yes, Bubbles. What is your serious question? So yeah, we have that to look forward to. Also, I'm trying to my comments, or not my comments, my chat box is like not popping up. Yes, I'm ready. What's the best ice cream flavor? I like strawberry, but I'm very partial to just chocolate. Chocolate all the way. It just hits the happy spot in my brain. So yeah. Anywho, guys, it's Oreo mint. There you go. So without further ado, I've rambled on enough. It's time for us to get to our guest. So without further ado, today we'll be welcoming a superstar maniac, a sentient star cluster in VTuber/VSinger form. There are many cosmic minds from multiple universes joined together to form a single entity on a higher plane of existence. Please welcome the multidimensional Tajigen Khaiden, or Khaiden Tajigen. Hold on, I gotta unmute you. Alright, you're unmuted.
Hello, konnichiwa, ohayo gozaimasu. Yes, the multidimensional Tajigen, Khaiden, Tajigen, whatever you prefer, Val. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. So great to be here.
Yeah, no problem.
How's it going?
It's going. I'm happy. I'm thankful you applied and you wanted to be a part of this, because I've been looking a little bit about your stuff recently, and I feel like there's a decent amount of stuff for us to talk about today. Not to mention,
yeah, let's talk about it.
I'm just super pumped, because one, it's also our last episode of the week, and so that means, like, when you have 3 of these shows, you start to be like, all right, let's we're working for the weekend, because then it's my break. I mean, I'll be working tonight, I'll be working tomorrow night, so my break doesn't actually come until Monday. So regardless, pump up the jam. Heck yeah, we pumping up the jam. Can they sing for us? Maybe, probably not, but maybe, but who knows? But probably not, but maybe. I don't know.
If you check out my content, I can sing for you in all the archive content I've done. There you go.
There you go. How much? What is?
I'm singing there.
Where's the redeem I have? The karaoke redeem.
Ooh. Oh my goodness.
I actually.
Wait a minute. Does it apply to the guests? Is that how it works?
So back for season 1, I had a couple redeems that when I did it, I always extended to my guest, but I did away with those because I didn't want to put my guests on the spot.
Yeah. I get it.
But yeah. So before we go any further, it's time for me to ask my first, and in my opinion, my most important question is, Khaiden, what? My goodness, how did I mess that up? Who are you, and what is your story?
Well,
as we said right there. Hello, I am the multi-dimensional Tajigen Khaiden, a sentient star cluster in VTuber VSinger form. So, unknown to many people, stars are sentient beings with their own intelligence and all that. And I myself, we used to be a star cluster, not just a star cluster that are many minds joined together, right? We were a star cluster that existed in multiple universes together. So it didn't take us long to see the magic of idol-like figures, including VTubers and beings like that, and thus descend, so to speak, into an existence of somebody in a humanish form, in a VTuber, VSinger form like this. So I am Khaiden Tajigen. I'll be saying I instead of saying we, just to keep things simple, as the single mind now. But yeah, so we produce. Well, I'll be saying we sometimes, I guess. It's the formal we. It's kind of a royal we, let's say. But no, yeah, we produce singing content, a few covers, as you kind of mentioned right there, that we have on the YouTube channel. And we do a lot. The thing that we do the most is stuff like this, live streams. So we work on video games such as FF14, Fall Guys. What else? What else? I'm blanking on things right now. Right now we have Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, RPGs like that, other online games, multiplayer stuff. Also Honkai Star Rail, that's been on the back shelf for a little while, but I think eventually we'll get back to it, etc., etc. So we produce gaming, singing, and tokusatsu content as well. We've done things related to stuff such as Kamen Rider. We've gotten a lot of cover related to Kamen Rider.
Really?
So, yeah, I am a VTuber VSinger to that entity. That's the short of it.
I know nothing about Kamen Rider, but I've been seeing a lot of the show's content like pop off on my feed.
Oh, you're getting messages sent to you. Come to the rabbit hole. Come to the rabbit hole.
I mean, I've never seen an episode of Kamen Rider, and the closest thing I could say is watching, American Sentai, Go-Go Power Rangers.
That's a great way to say it, American Sentai.
Well, I mean, yeah. At its very core, that's kind of what it is.
It is. That's what I mean.
Oh, wonderful! My model likes to be shoved into the ceiling for whatever reason.
Hold up.
No, you continue. I will deal with this. Fret not.
Okay. It might have been my internet being scuffed. I think you cut off for a moment for me. But yeah. My internet was acting up weird today for a moment. But alright. No, because I think I was slowing down too. But anyway, yeah. What were we saying? Like, it reminds me of that anime right now that's going on. Like, I hate that localized name, like Go-Go Loser Ranger.
Really?
It's supposed to be Sentai Failure. That's just, like, I think that's supposed to be the name of it.
See,
and they localized it right like that.
Well, I mean, they localized the Power Rangers, because they localized that because at least in America, like I said, the show is called Go-Go Power Rangers, or just the Power Rangers. Go-Go Loser Ranger, yes, that is the American localization. So,
yeah. One little key thing to notice when it comes to anything that is based off of Sentai or Power Rangers. If you want to know if they had Super Sentai in mind first, this is not foolproof, but most of the time if you see the colors red, blue, yellow, green, and pink, they're basing it off the first Super Sentai. Because if you look at Geo Ranger, Go-Go Power Rangers, they have black instead of green as the first 5. So you can tell they're basing it off the original. The original, you might say. But yeah. It's fine, though. It's fine one way or another.
Interesting. And if you
ever want to watch Kamen Rider, yeah, that's up to you, Val. No pressure, of course.
Maybe
no pressure. I'm just in a cult that loves Rider and yeah.
Maybe one of these days. I'm a big fan of the Power Rangers. I grew up with that, and one of my
oh, that's great.
One of my buddies wants to be like one of his dream roles. Like he's trying to work as a stuntman. Is he'd love to work as a stuntman in like the American Power Rangers shows. So
oh, that's great.
Wishing him all the luck we can on that.
Same here.
Thank you for that, Ichi. I appreciate that. You are number one. So, going back to the who are you and what is your story, because I always like to ask, because you kind of talked about the lore already about that. Let's push past the lore. let's talk about the individual behind the model, because uh, thank you, Ares,
If
I
you're able to
appreciate-
survive the Dr. Peppers.
here's hoping. But anyway, let's we have the lore and whatnot, but I like to talk to the individual behind the model, and I like to always figure out what got them into VTubing, like, because everybody's story is different. Kickstriker, hello, I like that name. Also, it's a nice
Hello, Kickstriker.
It's a nice green. A lot of it seems your community are cool and popping up here. So thank you guys for
Great to see.
Yeah, it's awesome to see y'all here. Oh,
Yeah,
pardon me.
thank you so much. Thank you for coming over here.
So
Follow Val if you haven't done so already.
No, you don't make. I'm already.
That's a threat. That's a threat right there.
It's a threat. Hold on.
Of course, follow for more of this.
Ah, no,
have been
you.
part of Val's content before.
KR. Oh, it's a KR.
It's not our first rodeo over here.
Aw, thank you for the follow, Kickstriker. I appreciate that. I really do. You just threw a lot of Dr. Pepper. Now you can earn even more Dr. Pepper to throw. So,
See, that's why it was a threat. It
my
was a threat to
gosh.
you.
Aw, thank you both for the follow. Thanks, Ichi. I appreciate it. So yeah,
But yeah.
what got you into this? What got you into VTubing?
Well, let's start a little bit at the beginning. I'm gonna keep a long story short because it goes a little bit beyond VTubing. Since VTubing most of the time involves live streaming like this, right? Mostly that's the first thing people think about when they think of VTubing, arguably, because it says VTubing, not V-streaming, right? But VTubing tends to like get associated with this, or at least it does in my mind. So it all started many years ago, discovering Twitch as a thing and discovering live streamers. I discovered live action live streamers, facecam streamers, but I prefer to call them live action live streamers because it sounds fancier. Anyway, I discovered them. It was late in the year, and I started looking at what this is. What is going on with this person? They're streaming video games, which is cool. They're doing it live. I had seen long plays before, but apparently people are doing it live. They're talking to people in a chat. They're like welcoming people. They're like saying, "Welcome to the community," and doing like a big reaction. And I was like, wait, why are they making such a big deal of this special like subscriber person? Oh, they're getting, wait, that person is paying for it. Okay, wait a minute. People are earning money from this and also getting a lot of people to watch, even those who are not giving their money. They're just there supporting. And this is how it all started. And I was like, you know what? As soon as possible, I got to start dedicating my life to this. I got to start doing this as much as I can. And so one thing led to another. And eventually that took on the form of VTubers as I discovered them. Just a few years ago. It was like 2021 or so. And I was like hooked on it immediately. How to describe it? It's like, it's my ikigai, I always call it. It feels like not just that thing about streamers that I said, but also VTubing itself, at least for me, is something that like allows you to reach your maximum potential, the best version of yourself that you want to be. As long as, you know, VTubing is something you want to do, of course. There are fewer limitations. It's like, I always make this comparison, again, going back to the live action thing. Imagine you have Star Wars, and you have Luke Skywalker coming back. It's the 2010s, it's the 2010s, as we had with the sequel trilogy. But you want to set the story only 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And it's like, well, yes, but Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and like Harrison Ford, they're very aged. We can't do that.
Wait, that
well,
takes
obviously
place
not if you do it.
that takes place 5 years after?
No. That's the point.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
Sorry.
It's decades after.
Okay.
But, you know, if you want to set it 5 years after, you can't because they look very aged. And technology is not advanced enough that we can de-age them in a convincing way. So you will probably need to do something like an animated show, right? Or even a comic book or whatever. The limits become fewer. You have lower limits now in what you can do. And that is VTubing. And it's something that's only in its early stages still. Who knows what the future is going to hold? I keep thinking about, you know, virtual reality shows, virtual concerts completely, or even watching a streamer live on a stage, just streaming in front of a virtual computer, just watching things and fans cheering on in an amazing way. So immediately when I saw VTubing, I was like I think some people in some agencies have said this, like some CEOs and stuff have said, hey, in the future, everybody's going to have a virtual avatar. But VTubers will be like these idol figures. Not necessarily idol figures if you don't want to be an idol as a VTuber, right? Me, I'm kind of going in that direction. Forgot to mention this, but I am part of a VSinger group called Alternative Idol, part of its first unit Constellations. And yeah, we've released a couple covers already. One of them at the beginning of the year, Tokimeki Runners. So you can also check it out through my links and all that. But yeah, so basically it was VTubing, you know, it was me getting into live streaming video games. That's how it started. But it also pivoted into other things like chatting streams like this one, singing, of course, VSinging. I already had some singing experience before. I won karaoke contests in conventions and stuff like that. And so I felt like this was the perfect form to take, to actually become an anime character, and an interactable one at that. Much like you, right? When they throw Dr. Peppers at you, you're an interactable anime character like that. So yeah, that's what got me into it. I think this is perfect for me. I love watching VTubers. I love viewing them, but I feel like I want to take all the responsibilities that come with being the person that does it for viewers, that being an entertainer. And yeah. I think that's it. I think that's a good way to say it.
I think it's a very good way to say it. So then, what sort of inspired this specific design? Because there's looks like there's a lot of story to go on here to talk about with your outfit and just your overall persona.
Well, first of all, let me give a lot of credit to my papa, who did not just the rigging, if you can apply that to a BC face B-Roy model, but also much of the design, because I gave him loose references. I didn't have super specific things for some of the things I did. Kageritsuki Kage at Orange Kage. That's orange and Kage from Japanese, Kage. Because he came up with a lot of this. It came from my previous model. This is my 1.0, as I call it. What I had before this, which you can see in my YouTube channel from previous covers, previous streams and all that. Also my Twitch channel from previous streams, if you can find them there. It was all Frankenstein from multiple things I found in booth.pm that I curated as best I could. I was like, what could fit me in my image and who I want to be and all that. Okay, let's take this hair. Let's turn it purple. Let's take this look that's idol-like and looks fancy, because I can be a flamboyant maniac, a narcissist even in my own way, calling myself a superstar and all that. So I want to look absolutely fancy. As fancy as possible.
Of course.
So yeah. So they came together in a specific way that my VTuber Papa, based it off of this design and the references I gave him. What inspires all of this is idol-like figures, idol-like outfits, and action outfits such as tokusatsu figures or even shonen protagonists and stuff like that. And a big a character from Pokemon called a Hex Maniac, because that's also the reason why I call myself a multidimensional maniac. In case you haven't been able to tell, I get extremely maniacal about everything I talk about and all that. So that's based on that. You can't. I'm a little bit zoomed out, so to tell, but I have spiral eyes, like the Hex Maniac, and there's a little bit of a vibe like that, just kind of an unhinged vibe, I guess, and of course a lot of purple. Also not seen here is my my belt, which is kind of a Kamen Rider inspired belt, kind of like a tokusatsu belt.
Let's see.
And as Kickstriker is saying, there's no color that screams space than purple. Maybe that too. Yes.
There you go. You can see the belt.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. See, this belt doesn't transform me into a Kamen Rider figure. It transforms the star cluster into a human-ish figure.
I see.
So yeah, that's what it does.
Well, if there's something,
And what else?
if there's something we have in common, it's just that we both use a lot of purple.
Oh, is that so?
Oh yeah, I mean,
I haven't.
Ooh, pardon me. Ooh, that carbonated water I'm drinking is just fighting me. Sorry, what?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I haven't noticed, Val. I actually didn't notice that.
Yeah, so the suit is more or less the suit is navy blue, is a nice navy blue. However, a lot of the color accents that I have on my overlays and a lot of my designs I keep to a nice deep, like a royal purple. Um,
Oh, that's great.
like all of my thumbnails and a lot of my designs that I incorporate just I think the contrast of the yellow and the purple just add a very nice look to it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. I don't have exactly a graphic design mind in the sense that I know how to balance colors perfectly, but I do try to go for like a purple, black, platinum scheme with a little bit of gold accents here and there if possible. If those colors combine well, that is. If we can't have platinum, we can have white instead of that because it usually mixes in that way. I have seen that thing where it's like, I think it was 60 or 70% the primary color, which in this case is purple, 30-40% of the second one, which would be black or so, and the third one is about 10% left, which is white or platinum in my case. If possible, I try to balance that, but yeah, it depends.
I see.
I have overlays that are like that too. So yeah.
Well, it seems Chad thinks
And thank you, Eris.
Seems that Chad thinks you have good graphic design skills.
Thank you for that. I do try.
Oh,
with thumbnails and all that.
Oh, there you go. So, as you're trying to create this persona and this character, what sort of things do you have in mind? Like, if you're wanting to change it or kind of go about refining it, because the thing is, you don't see a whole lot of cosmic related VTubers out there, and so most of them are just based on animals. But you know, seeing more space related things it's not as common. So, if you were to kind of take a crack at changing your design a little bit, what do you kind of hope to achieve if you'd want to?
Something that might happen one day, you never know, is that I might kind of take it in a direction beyond space itself and maybe even rebrand. But going back to the Hex Maniac thing from Pokemon, she's actually a minor NPC from like the Generation 6 Pokemon games. But her design is so striking, and I am one of those people that just fell in love with her at first sight, seeing her. She's like, oh my god, she has my energy. And well, basically, if you search Hex Maniac, you'll find it. She's a ghost type specialist. That's also my favorite type in Pokemon. And she has spiral eyes. She looks absolutely unhinged and maniacal, but in an affectionate way, in a lovely way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so it would be more towards that spirit side of things. There's also a Pokemon called Spirit Tomb, ghost dark type.
Oh, I love Spirit
And the
Tomb.
lore behind it is that it's 108 spirits all joined together to form a single entity on a higher plane of existence, basically. And so maybe it would be something like that, and I might do more towards that and take the space elements out a little bit. But other than that, if I were to keep the space elements, which I want to, of course, I probably would try to well, one thing I want to do eventually, I do want to have my own Live 2D model. If possible, I might go for a 2.0 where I just crank everything up to 11. My hair becomes even fancier. Maybe I add more colors to it. I make it more puffy. I make it more what's the word? More wicked looking. It's kind of supposed to be like a wicked sort of look. Think of Shadow the Hedgehog as well. If that makes sense. Hopefully you can see the vibes there.
Yeah.
I can be an edgy boy as well. Yeah, there we go. And but I would amplify things up to 11 to make it even more striking, and do that sort of that thing where if you see the silhouette of the character, if you see the silhouette of the VTuber in this case, you can tell who that is right away. Ah, that's Khaiden Tajigen. I can tell. And so go more towards that. Just crank things up to 11, or alternatively, go either in more of the ghost maniac direction or the tokusatsu direction. Make it more of an action suit, Kamen Rider style, if possible.
And clearly, those are some very ambitious ideas.
I know.
But there's nothing wrong with having ambitious ideas, especially when it comes to design. I mean, sure,
Mhm.
I have some thoughts and designs of my own, but very recently
Mhm.
I have wanted to have more minimalist models. Like for instance, my little like a fan favorite, it seems. People just really like this one,
Okay.
and
I have a little bit of a stream delay, but let me see.
yeah, people really like this one. I mean,
I
I
think I
love.
know which one it is.
And the thing is, I stream with this one whenever I am doing like
Oh,
my
yeah. Okay, I see it now.
I prefer using this one for my normal everyday streams,
Mhm.
just because I just love how quirky and simple it is.
It's great. I can see why it's so liked.
Plus, I got a Dr. Pepper toggle, so you know,
That's
I
perfect.
I got the win on that one. But when I why are you so far? Okay, I should not have needed to adjust that. Um, when I got this model, I got it designed because the thing is, I have a lore model that I just don't use. I didn't pay a whole lot for it, but I just don't use it as much as
Mhm.
I thought I would. And when I commissioned this one, I had in mind, I'm like, this is the one I'm going to be using for all of my events and the one I'm using for my shows.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
So
But
I put a little more time, a little more money into getting it commissioned, and I love it. I think it turned out great. Now in the future, would I ever want to change it? Maybe, we'll see. But as for now, like, will I ever go back to my VC face, my V-Roid model? Maybe. We'll see. Because as for now, I like my
Mhm.
cute little $25 model that I got off of VGen. You know,
Well, that's great. That's great.
so
I do think it looks great.
oh, thank you. I
So yeah.
freaking love it. The person's name is Jackentines on VGen. If you guys want to check him out, not the person who did this one. Um, so yeah, why don't we talk
Mhm.
about we shift topics a little bit, and why don't we talk a little bit about your experience as a VTuber who delves into the realm of singing? Because we have not
Mhm.
had as many individuals on my show who really make singing a core aspect of their being. So why don't we start there? And instead of a
Oh
question,
yes.
I'll just ask for you to tell me about what you do primarily as a V singer and what a V singer quote unquote is.
Yeah, quote unquote is. So a VSinger, if we go for that specific term, your mileage may vary, but it's one that is VTuber based, but also is a singer, or might primarily be a singer. I always say VTuber slash VSinger because I do a lot of live streaming. As I mentioned, VTuber says VTuber, but it tends to be V streamer a lot in terms of what they do. So a V singer would be somebody that probably can be categorized as an utaite or utaite. They most likely have most of their covers on YouTube, or utaite who, well, I probably don't even know what it means properly. Maybe somebody can correct me, but from what I know, it's somebody who does a lot of covers, does a lot of singing like that, and well, VSinger is the VTuber version of that, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So you might find a lot of covers that they have done using their virtual avatar, their VTuber VSinger self, in that video. It may be something like I have both of these examples. I'm gonna say it may be something like me, moving like this in front of a microphone, maybe kind of like a karaoke stream,
Mm-hmm.
or without a microphone and just singing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of shorts like that and some covers in that way too. Or it may be a more professional video that was like super commissioned, or that the B singer had the skills for. I don't have those, but MB, our artist, art creation, mixing skills. Well, I have done my own mixing, but that's another story. And they have a professionally made video. It's basically a music video,
Mm-hmm.
as you would see in big agencies and outside of it, of course. My latest cover, Redemption by Gact, is like that, with most of it, if not all of it, being commissioned.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a VSinger. And so yes, I have done a lot of that content. You can find it all on YouTube. Covers in the video section, in the short section, many short covers. Most of the shorts, about 90+% of them, are that right now. So yeah, in short, that would be a VSinger, I think.
I see. Do you have any formal training in singing or music prior to be like choosing to do this as a VTuber? And if so,
Mhm.
how do you think it has assisted you thus far?
Yes and no. Mostly yes, because I was in a choir before. A choir where anybody could volunteer and be part of it, but it was a very professional thing. I just don't know how to resheet music or anything like that. That's the volunteer part of it. They accepted many people as part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I did train thanks to that as part of a choir. We sang in concerts and all that, had events, learned how to do vocal exercises from there. Many of them can be found online now, and they are good. They're like,
Oh yeah.
if anybody is ever looking for vocal exercises and you find a YouTube video that's like 5-minute warm up and something, they are great. They are really well made. So, coming from somebody who was in a choir, I can tell you that. And that helped me a lot. I think it really helped me become even better with my voice. Maybe the other close thing to that would be the karaoke contest I won. A convention, a local con has like a
There you
karaoke
go.
contest going on. All sorts of people enter. And, well, yes, I won a couple of them. In one of them, they gave me a tablet as a reward. And I'm like, what the heck?
Well, there you go.
What the heck is that? But yeah, just random tangent there. But yeah, a little bit of professional experience, but not professional, I guess. I was in that choir for like a year and a half
Oh,
until eventually I had to get out
I certainly can
for
relate.
time reasons.
Because at least for me, thankfully, I'm a classically trained musician as well as a classically trained vocalist. Because I've been doing it for well over 10 years now. And
Nice.
my main focus is in classical music, but I also double dipped into vocal performance because just people sometimes just don't have deep enough voices and they're just not good, or just everybody wants to be the biggest tenor there is. So nobody wants
Yeah. I know what you mean.
the point I'm trying to make is that when it comes to those like warm-ups and then I have on my phone that I recorded years ago, almost 10 years ago. I have a recording still on my phone of my vocal professor doing warm-ups, and anytime
That's great.
anytime I have to prepare, whether it be for singing or a musical or even voice acting that I have to do, I still use that, and because
Nice.
it works for me. So much so that I've learned how to
perfect.
play it on the piano, so I don't need the music if I need to warm up.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great that you went all the way to even learning it on the piano.
It's one of those things where
You superstar.
if you want to get into music, people, unfortunately, learn the piano. It's going to kill you. Your motivation. It's going to kill your motivation. It's going to kill your happiness. At the very end of it, don't worry. You will be miserable. Because at the end of the day, you'll want to play things that you think you can play, but you'll only end up playing songs that people ask you to play.
Oh,
So
that is kind of funny though. But that's great that you know.
I love electric
I
guitar.
learned when I was a kid. I learned to play. What was this called? I forget the name of the instrument in English, but
Love Whiplash.
it was like, what was it? Melodica or something like that. Symphonica.
Yeah, the melodica. It's essentially I'd call it. It's a mouth keyboard where you blow into it. You blow into a little tube.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. I forgot everything about it by this point, but
It's just
yeah, there was a bit of that.
melodica is just
I
a
knew how to
piano
play. I knew how to play Green Hill Zone on that one. Nobody taught me. I taught myself.
with Green Hill Zone. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
But the talk about music careers reminded me of that. Just remember, Whiplash is not as accurate as like getting into the music, like collegiate upper educational music, than it lets on. But it's still a great movie, fantastic movie. So now you do covers and you do all types of singing. Do you have anything that like any type of influences that you try and use for yourself as you sing? Like for instance, I love I love Frank Sinatra's way of singing. I love a lot of these more jazz age style male singers. Like Chet Baker is a very big influence on me when I sing because he's a very, very soft tenor when he sings, and so it's just very, it's a very intimate way of singing. What are some influences that you have that shaped your musical style?
Well, I need to get better at getting influences because I found out in recent time that who I thought were my influences were beyond my range, apparently. But going for stuff such as J-pop and J-rock, some of them I've covered already. People such as Gact, people such as Hironobu Kageyama. I'm not sure, I don't think I've covered him officially. But he's in Jam Project, and he's also done things such as the Dragon Ball Z opening, some Super Sentai openings and endings and stuff like that. Gact, huge J-rock star in Japan, just like Hyde as well, that's another influence. It started out with voices like that. Ikemen voices, in lack of a better way to describe it. Ikemen deeper sort of voices. I guess you could say they're in the tenor range. But then I also started leaning towards other voices who are more like soft tenor voices, in lack of a better way to say it. Again, you know, I was in a choir, but I don't know some specific music terms as much. So pardon me if I say something that sounds like, oh, this thingy, that thingy, or something like that. But
as a jazz musician,
mostly
I can
tenor
tell
voices.
You, as a jazz musician, I can tell you, you do not need you don't need those fancy musical terms. All you need is just the vibe and the soul. Is
perfect.
Like I said, I've played classical music most of my life. Jazz is where I find the most happiness, and in jazz, you just play.
Yeah, actually, you reminded me of something I wanted to mention when you mentioned the choir thing. So I was in a choir, right? The thing about it is that we mostly sang classical music and some folk music like this, like that. We sang Disney songs once. And mostly we did that, but it's something that's been able to influence me beyond that. And it taught me a lot, right? It's really good. And it's not just the basics it taught me, like it's its own thing as well. And I've sung songs that you could consider classical here and there, but I pivoted that towards a J-pop and J-rock influence and power metal as well. That's the one that goes a bit beyond my range. Voices such as Halloween's Andy Darius, maybe Kai Hansen from Halloween and Gamma Ray. Those are two power heavy metal bands. Avantasia and the many singers they've had for it. Tobias Ahmet, those are some of the names. Avantasia is a project that brings together a bunch of musicians from tons of bands in power and heavy metal and beyond. Even somebody such as Christopher Lee with the work he did in symphonic and heavy metal. Those are mostly the influences I've gone for. And well, yeah, like I remember in the choir, that's what I wanted to mention. Like, you know, we sang classical music, but the teacher we had, she was more of a jazz music specialist, but she killed it no matter what she did, whether it was classical or jazz or even beyond that, right? And so it's great how you can learn those things and they can apply so universally. And I feel like they can apply if you start learning like in J-pop or J-rock and all that. So mostly I go for those three, I guess you could say. Tenors, J-rocks / J-pop, and heavy power metal, stuff like that.
At least for me, when I was learning music growing up, my older brother learned how to play because my older brother was a bassist, but he played in a jazz band first. He learned how to play jazz first. He never learned classical, and I took that as a I should learn classical first so I can play jazz, because classical sets you up for the fundamentals, and then jazz is when you break all the rules, so to speak. Because how I've heard of it is, how I've kind of seen is like this, is jazz is a lot like cooking. You can throw in whatever ingredients you want. You can follow a recipe, but, you know, you kind of put in the ingredients you want along the way. You know, maybe something tastes a little better with this. Maybe something tastes a little better if you take a little bit of this out. But ultimately, it's your dish. You make it the way you want. Classical music is a lot like baking. The moment you change something, it's going to be awful. That recipe is there, and it was written
by... Those are good analogies.
Yeah, that recipe was written hundreds of years ago by old white men, and you will follow it to the letter.
I see what you mean, though. I see what you mean.
So, but it's kind of in that dynamic of, you know, it's good to learn classically first and then go into more like jazzy aspects of it. At least in my experience, and it's been something I've been forever grateful for.
Yeah, that's great. One can lead to the other, so to speak, and you never know what you might find in your musical journey.
Oh yeah. So speaking of the
Yeah.
musical journey, let's talk about how you go into preparing for your covers. Not necessarily the covers themselves, but how you prepare for it. So, what is the typical way Khaiden Tajigen gets into preparing for a song cover or an original song?
Ooh, original song. I'm not quite there yet. I have ideas, but I haven't quite done one of those yet.
Okay.
So I'll talk about covers here.
Sure.
There are two types I will use here. One is the ones that I have done, that I have chosen, and two is the others that I've done either in a collab with someone or as part of a group. And I don't. This is gonna be bad phrasing, but I don't choose them. I don't get to choose them entirely. Bad phrasing, but it's like it's another kind of decision. So the first kind, the first one, well, it tends to be just right now I've been in a kind of, long story short, I haven't been producing as many covers recently because I'm kind of in a dilemma on what to do with my YouTube channel in terms of a niche. If I go for this, if I go for that, I can't put covers there because it's going to look random. Or if I only do covers, I can't do the other thing that's going to bring me viewers. But mostly what I've done has been, I've done this song before in great karaoke streams.
Mm-hmm.
I won some conventions with some of these songs. The latest one, Redemption, was one of those songs. Journey Through the Decade, the one before that, I think, was another one. And I'm like, I've been singing this song either on stream or off stream really well. Let's make it a full cover now. Let's make it more, better mixed. Let's give it a nice MB if possible, and let's make it. And I've already prepared for that one because I've already been singing the heck out of it. Now I start trying to do recordings. So unfortunately with me, I'm kind of a perfectionist, or I also have things where like birds are singing outside and I can't really afford to have like a super well-made home studio. Or at least a more soundproofed environment. So I have to do hundreds of takes. That's a bit of hyperbole, but it is a lot of takes that I have to do for it. So as part of that, and also because I guess I get kind of sweaty when I record, I just do a lot of it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna record, but this is not gonna be an actual take. And singing, 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 and I sing it over and over, and eventually one of those might become an actual take, or I start doing an actual take after that. Well, multiple takes probably. So that's how I prepare for that one. It's kind of winging it. If I do go forward with more covers again for my YouTube channel, and even my TikTok for that matter, my YouTube Shorts and all that, then I probably will be approaching it differently because sometimes it may depend on what instrumentals are available for a song. That's a whole other Pandora box to discuss. And if I'm like, well, you know what, there's a great instrumental for this, even though I don't know this song, let me learn it. And that leads me to the next point. The other kind of cover is the one that is decided as a group together or with another person. They tend to be songs I don't know until the other person recommends them. Since I can't think of anything when it comes to like collab covers or something, at least not at the moment. So I tend to like agree with their suggestions that somebody suggests to me. I need to branch out more when it comes to music. I need to learn more stuff like Vocaloid and all that. Those are the good ones to cover, in my opinion. But since it's not a song that I knew, then this is where the acquired knowledge comes in. The knowledge of how to learn a song and all that, as somebody who doesn't read sheet music, as somebody who doesn't know the fancy terms and all that, right? I go off the vibes and I begin by just listening to the song over and over. And then when line distribution has happened, because again, these are collab covers, so I'm not gonna sing the whole thing, I start probably, depending on when the deadline is, since, this tends to be within deadlines and stuff. If I see there's enough time, then I probably start really just vibing with the song and singing the whole thing. And doing like a take that never gets released anywhere, in which I just sing the whole song. Some parts of it sound terrible because they're not for me, they're for a higher voice, but I sing the whole thing just to get a good feel of it. And then I start going for my own lines and only recording those.
Yeah.
And multiple takes and multiple tracks and all that. If, however, the deadline is closer, I have a few songs like that actually. If the deadline is closer than I want it to be, let's say, then I skip that part of vibing with the song as much, and I mostly try to learn it, bringing in that choir experience right there, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I prepare for it, by getting familiarized with it, and then trying to focus on the lines I'm going to sing, if not the whole song. If possible, I vibe with it as well. So yeah, there's a lot of vibing, I guess, for me. I'm that kind of person that likes to really get into the song
And I feel like
that I'm singing.
that's the best way you can perform anyway. Is if you're not enjoying it, the audience picks up on those vibes.
Yes, yes.
Now, it's kind of known on my channel that because the amount of how much I bloviate and talk about it, of I'm an audio engineer. That's what I do professionally. I work for a studio, and we do basically every type of audio recording you can think of. I always like, whenever people talk about doing editing and this stuff, I always like to figure out and see what they're doing. So, what kind of audio setup you got?
Well, I'm terrible at these sorts of things. For me, Val, is quantum physics to do all of this all the time. Let's talk about stream audio setup mostly. So I have a dynamic microphone. I found that dynamics work better for me, also kind of because I'm not entirely soundproofed. I have an ATR 2100X. They've treated me well, the ATR 2100s. I used to have the previous model, just the ATR 2100 without the X. I also have a Blue Yeti that I actually am. It feels very professional to have a setup in which I have a microphone for recording covers, which is the Blue Yeti. Eventually, when I can afford a better one, I will, but the Blue Yeti has treated me really well all these years. And for streaming, I have the ATR 2100X most of the time. And also, if the ATR 2100 stops working, the Blue Yeti is there as a backup, because I've had that happen before. And I have it set up with multiple filters, limiter, compressor. I do need to have a noise gate, though I hate noise gating. If I can, I avoid that, because I feel it takes away a lot for me.
It does. What do you?
And well, right now,
do you
Go ahead.
use the noise gate for streaming, or do you use it for singing?
for streaming, no, never for singing, just for streaming. Noise suppression and noise gates. For singing, there's no filters.
So here's
I
my
use Audacity for that.
so here's my advice to you. Don't use noise. Don't use a noise gate.
Yeah.
Unless
Okay.
you sometimes it's a very, pardon me, it does depend well, on the situation you're running, but for the most part, like for instance, I know my good buddy Phantom uses a noise gate because he has he plays his audio through a sound bar. He doesn't like that being picked up, and so unless he's talking, he doesn't want it to be heard, which I suppose is okay. But in most cases, if you're not running that and using headphones, there realistically is no reason to be using a noise gate, as it'll only just constrict your audio a little more and make the background, the white noise in the background, much more noticeable when you stop talking, because you'll hear that that hiss as you're doing it.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. It's because again, it's because I can't soundproof my room that much. Sadly, it's a long story, but
it's very
I've been
hard
getting
to
a
sound.
lot of birds lately. Birds that are so audible in the stream, and I watch other VODs that were like, you could hear them. You could even hear the truck passing by when I didn't have the noise gate activated. But at the same time, I didn't have it there for the longest time because it sounded better without it. That's the thing.
Thank
But
you, Ichi.
that was a good impression of noise. Nice. I think it was actually.
Oh, thank you.
But what was I gonna say?
Have you tried using
Noise suppression?
Oh, you were actually about to talk about that. Have you tried?
Noise suppression treats me better. Yeah, a lot better.
Because right now I have a fan going on. Because my room is just getting a little warm for whatever reason, and I don't want my fan to be heard in the background when I'm not speaking. Because I imagine you can hear that right now, my fan in the background.
I can't.
That's good.
Not me.
Oh, the noise suppressor on Discord's doing its job. But
yeah, that's a different one I'm using right now. I was gonna mention it.
Yeah, so I'm using
It's a different thing.
I'm using the noise suppressor with OBS, uh, and I have a fan in my room where I have to have an or I'll overheat. Oof. Yeah, no, I have a fan
Oh
in my room,
yeah,
and so I'm using that noise suppressor, which I think is actually pretty. It does a pretty decent job.
yeah. The part that's quantum physics for me, or rather, it's more like it takes a lot of time because of the trial and error I gotta do. Is adjusting the noise suppression setting to be just right, and maybe I just need to adjust it again. I've done it many times. I can do it again, so I probably will look more into that again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take what you said in mind. Yeah, thank you for that, Val.
And so,
That's gonna be
and
helpful.
don't use mine as I'm not the de facto thing. It's just based on my
Mm-hmm.
experience, especially with streaming. But at least in a studio environment, and I do broadcast as well, broadcast mixing as well. I've mixed conferences, I've mixed graduations, I've mixed speeches and motivational things, and basically most any presentation you can think of, I've mixed audio for. I've mixed audio for professional bands that like famous bands that tour around the country, tour around the world. We never use a noise gate on their vocals. The like a vocal
Okay.
of like a noise gate is good to use on like say a drum set, like a kick drum, where you don't want any audio from the mic heard unless the kick drum is boom hitting. So, because it's very loud, and so the idea is you only want to hear the kick drum when the kick drum is activating. Other than that, you don't want to hear anything of it from it. So I do mix music.
That makes sense.
So it can be a pain in the butt sometimes, but I do mix music, and I love it. So that
Yeah, in my other audio setting, when I record, pivoting into that, segueing, whatever the word is. Yeah, when I record covers and all that, no filters whatsoever on my Blue Yeti, on my condenser microphone. And yeah, sometimes there's a background noise. A truck did pass by while I was singing the chorus at full force. Okay, I gotta re-record it. But if it's between vocals, I think that tends to be removable. I know because I've commissioned people for this before. So that one is a very different setup.
So
Very different.
if you're wanting to do it yourself, then there's a recommendation for anybody. Because you said use Audacity, correct?
That's the only one I know for now. Yeah, haven't gotten to learn the other digital audio workstations.
Ah, yes, the DAW.
Yes.
My advice would be to check out Pro Tools, as Pro Tools is the industry standard for audio mixing. Because that's what
Gotcha.
I use personally. Now there are different degrees of the software. There's I think Pro Tools. What is it? Pro Tools Artist, Pro Tools Studio, and Pro Tools Ultimate. I use the second one, which is Pro Tools Studio. So I have access to a bunch of plugins and 512 channels at once, though I've never had reason to use that. But thankfully, Pro Tools has a free version. It's very limited, but it certainly gives you the ability to try it out and see it for yourself.
Okay.
And I highly recommend it. Now, certainly, I'd say, do you add any post-processing on your songs?
Well, so talking a bit about my history here. I say I commission people, but I've only ever commissioned a person once, because of budget, not because I want to do it myself, which has been on the latest cover. So I didn't add anything to that. I'm just gonna give them the raw vocals for that. But I have mixed things before. It's just very, 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 very amateur mixing, in which I follow the steps of like a couple of tutorials to make it, and I did a lot of trial and error to make them sound at least decent in previous covers. So any cover you see, including the shorts, before Redemption, the latest one, it has been me mixing it in Audacity, nothing else. And yes, there's things. What were the steps? Noise removal, creating a noise reduction profile, then removing things one by one, the inhales, etc. Then I forgot what it was. Sometimes equalizer, but I stopped using that because I didn't know how to use it.
Trust
no,
me,
wait.
EQing is an art form.
I can see that, yeah.
Because like one of the programs I use is a program called Fab Filter. However, it's like quite a few $100s for just one just for the it's called ProQ. And Oh boy, howdy. For those who choose to edit in Audacity, you have nothing but my biggest respect because it is one of the, and I say this respectfully, it is one of the biggest pieces of hot garbage I have ever used in my life. Um if you can use it, that is incredible. You have my utmost respect. I have used it. I used it before I switched to Pro Tools. I don't know how I did it before. Um but
Mm.
because like they don't even have a lot of Audacity doesn't have like a graphical Oh, thank you for the K-pop yaoi. What a name. I used Audacity and edited in it. Do I have a gold star sticker? Yes, you do, Eris. Yes,
Yes, you do.
do.
You get it from me too. There we go.
But
Go ahead.
here's some if you want to simplify that even more, you mean they have the audacity to use it more or less. If you want sort of a condensed version a little bit more than that, here's my advice. EQ, compressor, and maybe a limiter.
Compressor was one thing, and then some other things like some echo and reverb effects. That's what I was gonna get to. The compressor, I pretty much always use though.
Echo, no. If you're using if you're using an echo, there's that's an interesting effect you're trying to achieve. But yeah, this is what I say. Every song, every bit of voiceover you will ever hear, always has a compressor. You will never not see a compressor. If you're not using a compressor, you're not doing your audio right. Because what the compressor does is it brings it up to level, and then it brings it up to a good level, and then prevents it from going up to a higher level. So yeah.
So here's a random question, Val.
Sure.
Have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
I have not seen Game of Thrones.
Okay, I was gonna make a reference. So without major spoilers, there's a character who's extremely religious and overzealous in that show, a minor character, who is torturing someone so that they get to confess supposed crimes against their cult and all that. And they're always saying, confess in like a kind way, that's not actually kind, right? And for some reason, here's the way my mind works. Every single time I use a compressor, I was like, compress. For those who know, you know. But yeah, I don't know. It's always the reference I make, like compress. But yeah, it's the random thing there.
If you ever want to, I'm always down to give pointers to whoever wants it about, audio mixing. Because the thing is, in my opinion, in my experience, audio mixing is not hard to learn. It's difficult to master, because the thing is, you can take a lot of basic principles and apply that to just most any mix that you need, and that will get you pretty well.
That's good to hear,
because it seems you've got it already figured out. Like I said, EQing first, and then you're going to want to compress. And then you'll add some reverb after that. I mean, every song, for the most part, everything has reverb. Because if it's dry, it's going to sound really weird. Adding a little reverb is what gives the flavor. It's sort of the salt and pepper of the mix, if you will. And you only give...
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and you only add reverb to taste. So, now... the part that's going to elevate your singing and your editing even more is when you get pitch correction software.
I had one. Yeah, I've used one before.
And here's
some magical things happen there.
So here's a fun fact, guys. Every song that is not live is pitch corrected. That's not to say that the people who sang it are not talented. It's just every song that is released as an album that's not sung live is pitch corrected. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what the tool is used for. It's to clean up the notes, because unless you're like Michael Jackson or Pavarotti, it's very hard to hit notes perfectly on every single time. So there will be occasionally like those notes that stray a little bit. Now back in the day, you had to be like pitch perfect. Nowadays, there's a little more leniency. So I use pitch
Mm-hmm.
correction software. I don't rely on it heavily because again, it's pitch correction, not pitch distortion, not just pitch changing. Like you can't change it. Like if I use a program called Melodyne, and it's one of the industry
I
standards.
know that one.
Melodyne is a very good software.
I've never used it, but I know it. Yes.
If you throw any audio files in there, you can really have fun getting to know what horrible sounds you can create from that will be. Timing's the worst. Timing vocals to the original. It can be hard. And it's one of those things you just kind of have to find in balance. Once someone tuned me so much, I sounded like Hatsune Mian based.
Nice.
It do be like
I've heard that. I've heard those. I've heard that mixing before.
Well, how do you? How would you like? So that's the creative process. That's how we.
Mhm.
That's how you kind of prep for it. What about actually going in and singing it? What happens for you when that happens?
Well, many takes happen and a lot of sweat, and I'm like, damn it! There was a rat in the background, and I could hear it walking and crawling. Okay. No, I've never had that happen. I just thought of something. I wanted to say something other than bird because I already said that.
Were you Asmongold?
I don't know, but things like that, or I'm like, how to explain it? Yeah, I have all sorts of reasons for doing multiple takes when I do them. I do try to have one fake take, as I call it, which is to sing the whole song in one go. No strings attached to it, or my lines only. And I'm like, you're not the rat itching yet. No. You don't have to be more quiet. Keep going, chat. Keep going. But yeah, I do multiple takes. I start recording it, and I start kind of organizing those takes in Audacity. Okay, maybe Pro Tools in the future. I definitely have to check it out. And I start organizing them, and I start hearing them and seeing what I think is best, either for whoever I'm commissioning or what I'm hearing, because I'm not going to give them 70 raw vocal files. So I have to, I kind of judge it myself, I guess, until the day comes in which I do go into a studio and do it. That day will come, I hope. And I just keep doing multiple takes, I guess. And I do listen to the music, though. Here's the thing. Most of what I've done, I try to time it. I try to do not perfect timing, but pretty much perfect timing, I guess, to the music. I'm listening to it and I'm singing with the music in the background. I'm that kind of singer that times it as much. So, like, I'll give you a raw file that if the singing for me starts 35 seconds in, you're only going to hear me sing 35 seconds in. Ideally, you're not timing it that much, if at all. So that's how I try to do it. That may change in the future, depending on what the mixer needs. And, well, yeah, that's it, basically. I do multiple takes, and I try to really match it. If I really need help, then I'm listening to tracks, to reference tracks. Either the original, since, again, it's only been covered from me, or whoever is helping me in the collab. This is how you sing this. This is how you sing these harmonies. And, yeah, for example, harmonies also and ad-libs and stuff like that, I sing them afterwards. I always do the main vocals first, or whatever is akin to main vocals. And the harmonies, I tend to do them with my own vocals, since they should be timed well enough. And I sing the harmonies over my own vocals. It's great hearing my own voice. Yeah, my own voice and me singing to myself like a true superstar. But yeah, that's the way I do it usually.
So here's a question then. For me, I've gotten used to the sound of my own voice, and I like the sound of my voice. And it's a very hard thing, because as a voice actor, one of the biggest hurdles you can face is getting used to the sound of your own voice. For me, I got over it, and I now like my voice. I like what I can do with it, and I like the work I've done with it. How have you overcome that sort of disdain for your own voice, or did you always enjoy the sound of your own voice?
No, I did not. I certainly did not. And chances are, if I watch the VOD of this, no, I will watch it probably, parts of it, or if not the whole thing. I will not like the way I sound for this. But that's the thing right now. It's 50-50 whether I'm going to like it or not. Again, let's divide it into two categories, talking and singing. For talking, and this extends to my accent as well. It's a multidimensional accent. I truly live up to my name because it sounds different every day. If I had hot or cold food, it changes the way my accent is. That sort of thing happens. And it's far from being just to me. Like, just doesn't just happen to me. But like, sometimes I'll hate the way I sound. Sometimes I love the way I sound. And I'm like, whoa, what a great streamer. You should all follow Khaiden Tajigen. He sounds so great. What a fantastic voice. How amazing he is. When those moments happen, it's great. And it makes editing for a short or like for a highlight video or something like that really nice. Or creating a clip really nice. It's great. When I don't like it, I kind of have to cringe as I'm doing it. I guess I haven't gotten over the sound of my own voice in that sense. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I guess I truly am multidimensional in that way. When it comes to songs, I'm happy to say I mostly like it as long as I'm okay with the mixing. Mostly my mixing has been my own, very amateurish. And sometimes I'm like, oh god, that mixing was horrible. Horrible! I don't want to hear this. But then another day I'm like, oh yeah, Khaiden, Tajigen, what a beautiful voice. Let's vibe, let's vibe. So I guess it's 50-50. That's the best answer I can give you. Yes and no. Like, sometimes it sounds great to me and it's wonderful when that happens. One of the best things as a content creator, whether voice actor, streamer, or singer, one of the best things that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I don't like it. I guess that what I would say when it comes to getting over it, your voice that is, it's just gonna be a matter of getting used to it. And as you keep listening to yourself and you keep cringing at parts of yourself, subconsciously it figures into what you do. And you'll find yourself doing less of what made you cringe. And you try to avoid it. And, well, you'll maybe start consciously, okay, I'm gonna try not to speak like that again. I'm gonna try not to say what I said like that because, gosh, that was cringe. And that becomes more subconscious as you go on. Like, even my accent changed in that way, despite being multidimensional and all that. Like, sometimes I would say a phrase in a way that was like, oh, stop saying it like that. And I don't say it like that anymore, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of practice and listening to yourself and being willing to cringe. If anybody's going to cringe at yourself, let it be yourself. For chances are, the biggest thing, there's a high chance that what you're cringing at is something nobody else is cringing at. And chances are what you think is bad, everybody thinks is fantastic on you. So also work with that in mind, is what I would say.
That's good advice.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. It takes a lot
That
of time
too.
and a lot of self-acceptance to really
Yeah.
get used to the sound of your own voice. And not only that, if you start listening and editing your own voice a lot, that really helps because at that point you just get desensitized to it. Because at least for me, I had to edit a lot of my own voiceover sessions because it was through the studio I worked at, or I work at currently, and so I was having to edit myself, and I listen to myself for hours on end. And I'm like, you know what? This is good. I sound great. And if they don't like it, I can always re-record it.
do you ever, while you're editing, do you ever speed up to double speed?
Oh no,
while you go through it?
not at all.
You never do that?
No.
Okay, I've done that sometimes because it's like, okay, I know this part. Let's just speed through it as I look through the whole video.
Well,
and that changes my voice in a way that kind of like figures into the desensitivizing myself from it.
Well, I'm talking
That works
about.
well.
I'm talking about. Like voiceover, like things for like commercials, or things like that. I'm not talking about like stream videos.
Yeah, I got you.
So because I would never like there's so many things I need to listen for and fix and edit that it'd be really odd for me to skip past all of it.
Oh yeah.
So
there's all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, What do you think are some challenges like or hurdles that you think you have as somebody who wants to do singing as a VTuber? Because a lot of people are also doing the same thing you're doing. Because it kind of goes back into that
Mm.
finding your niche. What are those hurdles and challenges you think you're facing trying to compete with other people that are doing what you're doing?
I absolutely suck at marketing and stuff like that. Suck at it.
Oh yeah.
So being able to be good at that sort of thing when it comes to promoting myself, I think I'm doing my best effort with that. But at the same time, it's like there's some basics that I'm not grasping here. So how to reach that audience, or what I should be focusing on,
Yeah.
what I should be working on. Work hard, but also work smart. I can't work smart if I don't know what it is I need to work hard on. So I feel like sometimes that's a challenge. A little bit of also the dilemma of the niche, that whole thing of a YouTube channel in which you can't just throw things randomly at it. Even with something like VTubing, there's a huge argument in saying that's a niche. It's a niche, but also it's a very broad niche. So I can't just, it feels like I can't just be a VTuber, VSinger in terms of that. It feels like I need to be something more specific. Like, I'm a Kamen Rider content creator. I talk about Kamen Rider things, but then I can't upload my cover of the F-Zero opening theme
Yeah.
from the anime. That doesn't make sense, right? And that has really locked me away from deciding what to do and has kept that side of my content quiet. I still do YouTube live streams though. I am very much a live streamer. Just had a stream yesterday on YouTube, for example.
There you go.
And so for now, I'm in that broader niche of being a VTuber, V-streamer, V-singer right now. But if I do decide it, just because I feel like there's an audience. I said Kamen Rider because I feel like I could do great content, great like informative content, talking about things. I've kind of have done those videos before actually. And I know there are some things I can talk about there and highlight there that nobody else has ever talked about. And that's one of the best things you can do as a niche. However, it is going to limit what I do, right? One of these days I want to invest when I have the budget in a VTuber manager or just a manager overall so I can decide those things. That's the challenge, right? Having to do all those things by myself and knowing how to do them. Knowing what a niche is and how to really like have the audience of that niche find you and know how to actually make it a niche. Because it's not that I don't want to do those things, it's that I want to be the general VTuber that does covers and also does video game live streams and Satsudan live streams. The traditional VTuber experience, you might say. I want to be that VTuber, but it's also a very broad thing at the same time. So I guess that's one challenge. That's the biggest challenge right there. And what else was I going to say? I forgot, but yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that.
So then,
for that.
So then, based on that response of having your challenges and your hurdles, what keeps you motivated to not only continue trying to better yourself as a singer, but also trying to put out content that not only you enjoy, but you think your audience will enjoy?
Oh my gosh, I had ways of phrasing this. It's like I had an answer for this, and it's not here right now. It was on the tip of my tongue. Well, what did I say earlier? Yeah, this is my ikigai. I love doing this. And that constant reminder that, it's advice that you've seen, maybe, all of you watching, listening, of like, if you ever get burnt out on something that gets advised to you a lot is to remember the reason why you started doing it in the first place. And I constantly remind myself of that. I mean, just doing a live stream reminds myself of it in the first place. What I went back to earlier, why I love VTubing and why I'm into live streaming and all that. I remind myself of it, and I don't even need to do it actively. It's starting to become a subconscious thing now.
Yeah.
That I'm doing this because I want to do it. Wait a minute. Khaiden, you're streaming several hours worth of video games, this video game that you love, and you're being entertaining while you're doing it. And okay, you may not have let's say 500,000 people watching you right now or following you in every stream, but you are putting it out there. And well, there is enough discovery, at least for me, to say that it is getting discovered, right? As Kickstriker mentioned, found me through a game called Chroma Squad, which I did a year ago. and that was Kickstriker found me recently through that, and that's YouTube for you. That's YouTube discoverability for you. And that I genuinely love this and I want to do it, even if I'm not earning money from it constantly. Consistent income. I want to do it beyond being just a hobby, and so that keeps in a good way. That is not in that anxiety-inducing way, I guess. All your viewers count as 1,000. Yes, Ichinian, I agree with that. but speaking in a cold, pragmatic perspective, just reminding myself of it. I guess it maybe sounds like a generic answer, but just that. Yeah, just that. The fact that I do genuinely love this, and I want to keep doing it. See, that's the thing. Okay, I can phrase it like this: what is the alternative if it's so bad that I want to stop doing it? At this point, not doing this would be worse than doing it, even though I'm not growing that much. Not doing it would be worse. At least if I can do it. If nothing is like physically keeping me back, or a greater force is keeping me from doing it, like I got injured or my computer exploded or something like that. Yeah.
I'd say those are.
Hopefully, that's a good way to phrase it.
No, it's a very good way to phrase it. I mean, when it comes to with singing,
that too, yeah.
It's hard to find motivation, as it's just, it can be very diminishing when you're not seeing as the results you want. And that's why I think what you have is a good head on your shoulders of just seeing it more than just immediate progress. And like there's so many different aspects that you're trying to kind of keep in mind as you're doing all of this stuff, and ultimately we can see that'll culminate into what will soon to be really successful things we can see in the future from you.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
So
I want to keep going. Yep.
So with that motivation, those the wishes of wanting to continue in the future, do you have any goals or like maybe some future projects that you'd love to do?
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about big ones. Like we mentioned, I do want to have an original song eventually. I have a few ideas. However, they're just ideas right now. That's going to require budget because I'm going to commission people. I'm going to commission musicians maybe for that. The people you need to commission, things you need to invest on, like copyright related things and all that. Not going into details, partly because I still don't quite understand all you have to do. An original song for sure that has the Khaiden Tajigen name on it. What else in terms of like a specific goal? Well, obviously to keep growing as much as possible and make a heck of a brand. Oh yeah, merchandise. I want to have physical merchandise. I still haven't quite gotten into that rabbit hole and haven't quite gotten to do that. But I think I already have a few things that could become that sort of physical merchandise.
Oh yeah.
Pivoting into that. Yeah, things such as mugs or shirts. I can use logos or pictures I have that I can commercially use for sure. And even just an image of myself might do the trick. Creating that sort of thing. And, well, becoming more of that figure, having sponsorships, having an audience constantly keeping me going by also financially supporting me, doing things such as even opening a Patreon, especially if I've niched, if I have found that niche that I keep trying to search for, the ideal niche, the perfect one. Or maybe I didn't even niche down and I'm able to do this. That would be the ideal goal. But ideally, yes, also as a traditional VTuber, quote unquote, absolutely growing. Having more of this, of welcome Khaiden Tajigen to this show. Welcome to the VOD. Future Val is like, welcome Khaiden, you got so many more followers since the last time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for finding time in your busy schedule. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So that would be a project. Another would be to do a concert, a full concert of covers. I'll probably do something like a Kamen Rider concert. I have done a karaoke stream, but like fully dedicated to that. But a more formal concert with more, custom instrumentals, other guest VTubers for multiple vocalist songs in there, and massive collabs, hosting massive events. I still need to think about some ideas for that. So I guess those would be the goals. A few of them, that is.
Well,
Oh, and also to debut in Live 2D fully, have a full VTuber debut like that. Yes, I haven't done that yet.
well, I'm hoping
So yeah.
in the future to do a like a VTuber sort of or not necessarily karaoke, but more like a actually kind of yeah, just a VTuber karaoke night where just get a whole bunch of VTubers together and sing on stream, just whatever we want. Instead of it being like one of my normal shows that I've been normally trying to do. Instead, it's just a nice chill night of just relaxing and
That
singing.
sounds great.
You know, be super fun.
Yeah, I'd love to be part of that. I'd love to be part of that.
Heck yeah!
If you do it, let's go for it.
If there's any other VTubers out there in the audience that want to be a part of that, just know
Yeah.
I have a Discord server that you can join to be a part of. So, excuse me. I gotta ask, is there anybody, like any particular individuals you'd want to maybe collab with on a song?
I don't want to name any names because I'm probably gonna leave people out. Particular individuals, just big VTubers that I admire. That, well, not just big VTubers, VTubers that I admire that I think are great at doing that. I guess I can name Mousy, good old Iron Mouse. I'd love to do something with her because she's aware, very much aware of what Kamen Rider is. I'd love to do that with her if possible, but that's another story. Every single person I'm thinking about is another story. Yeah, I'm just not gonna name names too much because I'm probably gonna forget someone and I'm gonna feel bad about that. But yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, Ichi Nyan is a singer there. She's expressing interest.
There you go, Ichi. Well, I saw you join the server, so once I get my VTuber voiceover thing done, maybe I'll start planning that as a nice little break. And even then, maybe it doesn't have to be a stream. Maybe I could just make it a server thing. If we all just kind of get together and celebrate the end of that tournament or that show, that voiceover show. So I think that would be fun. So why don't we wrap this up by asking two important questions. How are you making sure to balance your streams versus your covers? Because I know that can be a little hard to keep that balance of. So that's the first question.
Yeah. It depends on the time I have for this. Well, since right now I'm not doing covers as much, just kind of having some time dedicated to it and really keeping in mind. Mostly, I guess for covers, I guess I put them in the same category as a stream in the sense that, okay, usually let's say on a Friday I do a 5-hour stream and then another stream, sometimes on Fridays, 3-hour stream. Let's say like today, for example. Normally I would be doing a stream on my own channel at this time on Saturday. Tends to be 3 hours. I don't like to end too late, especially if I have a commitment on Sunday morning, as I tend to do. So let's assume that a cover will be that much time, whatever work it is that I'm doing on it, on a given day. So I keep that in mind as I do a schedule. I'm not good at time management. I'm not good at doing schedules and all that. So I kind of have a loose canvas for it. I don't have like, Monday, work on cover number 1, 5 hours. No. I do that for my stream schedules, which is great, also because it needs to be like that. But for the covers, I guess there's no specific time for them, but I do keep in mind that let's assume it's going to be as long as a stream. Maybe shorter, maybe longer, maybe even longer. And I balance it like that. And depending on how much work I'm doing, I tend to leave other days out of a week. If I was planning to have 4 days of streams, or let's say 4 to 5 streams that week, let's reduce that to 3. Or let's even have a week with 2 streams. I had a week like that recently. Just 2 streams, 2 days that week. That's all we're going to do. Or also how long the streams are going to take. I'm going to have a 12-hour stream coming soon. And so I got to keep that in mind. That's when I'm actively doing them. Like actively doing a lot of them. I've had projects where I've done like constant covers before. So I guess just kind of treating them the same time-wise. I can't really give them a specific schedule. That might be a good idea, but not for me. Because I know that wouldn't work. I just yeah, that's how I balance it, I guess.
There you go.
I guess you could say.
Yeah. Now the very last question, and that is, what advice would you give to any either just normal individuals who are watching or any
Hmm.
VTubers who want to try and focus more on singing or just get better, just sort of get into it?
Okay, okay. Specifically for that, let me think quickly. How to
Take your
say this?
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Mostly what I've said already. Think about what I've said already, which is the time is gonna take you, and what Val and I have been talking about, which are the things that go behind making a cover, keeping in mind noise filters, sound filters, if that applies, keeping in mind that Audacity sucks at equalizing, apparently, which I don't know about. I didn't know about that. You might want to consider Pro Tools. You might want to know that, well, if you didn't know this already, it's probably a good idea to do vocal exercises before. I should have mentioned that. Yes, I do vocal exercises before I start singing and the takes and all that. I do that. Uh, Although I mentioned the fake take I do. I tend to do a fake take before I do the vocal exercises, just to really vibe into the song, right? Um, if you have never done a recording before, much less done anything like choir work or professional music or anything like that, and the best thing to do is to just start doing it, which is maybe the advice you hear a lot for things like VTubing. And
Mm-hmm.
it works because it's going to let you know what your process is going to look like, because it looks different for everyone, though there are standards that are probably a good idea to follow, right? So kind of start getting used to that. Maybe you start it as a hobby project, or just start a hobby project to the side of, I'm just gonna do this cover for fun. I might never even publish it on YouTube, but I want to see what it's like and really go through with it. Maybe I'm just gonna let friends listen to it, because if I upload this on YouTube, it's gonna get taken down maybe, or it's not. It sounds terrible. It's not professionally mixed, so it's not good for release. But it's giving you a good idea of what the process is like. That advice, I guess, can apply to getting into VTubing, streaming, getting into video editing, or at least clip creation of your own streams. I know because it applied to me. Just doing it at the beginning to know what your process is like, and once you know what that process is like, how good are you at managing your time? How good at you are you at creating plans and sticking to them? I know I prefer to have a loose canvas for non-streaming related things. For streaming things, because I like to be the kind of VTuber that publishes a schedule every week and all that and follow it. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer to be really strict with it. Okay, the VOD 6 p.m. Mountain Time Saturday has to be that time, right? For example, for me today, that actually is great for me for a stream. But on the other side of the coin, for recording covers, it's a bit more loose. Still within deadlines, of course, if there's a deadline, but like no specific time, because I know I'm not gonna be good at following that through, and it's just gonna make me feel pressured. It's gonna make me feel limited, so to speak. So, in short, start doing the thing, and then once you know what your flow is like, adapt it into your schedule. Yeah, it can apply beyond just singing, but that would be it. That would be it. My advice, Val.
Well, I think there are definitely some very good advice there. And in my experience of doing this, there is no right way of doing it. It's just one of those things you just kind of have to throw yourself out and really hope for the best. And if it doesn't work, see what sticks. Um,
Hmm.
and don't be discouraged when things just don't work out.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Because on the race to content creation, there are so many ways to reach that end goal. So
Yes, that's true.
so I was gonna say that can apply to mostly anything really. Yeah.
That too. That too.
So,
Uh,
but
yeah. Going a bit more into that, also that, yeah, also to mention it earlier, right?
mhm.
I mean, I started getting into this, as I mentioned, by thinking about, hey, I want to stream video games and entertain people with that. And then the singing thing came out after that. I already did have singing experience, but as I did this, it made me realize that, whoa, actually, I can do singing as part of this, and it can be part of the content, also as a VTuber. That's great. And VTubing wasn't even something I had in mind initially. And then I found it, and it was great. Also, there are some people who find their lore through doing it. They're like, well, I wasn't planning to be a Minecraft streamer mostly, but it turns out Minecraft streaming is the thing I do mainly because it's gotten me great success. So be open to that sort of thing. That applies to singing as well. Maybe you'll find that you prefer to do jazz covers more than J-pop covers because they turn out better. Not just successfully, but also because you enjoy them more. Go for that. As long as it makes you happy, of course. That, if possible, go for that too.
Yeah. And
Go for that too. Yeah.
Maybe one of these days I'll release a cover. Who knows?
There you go.
But until then, the VOD seems to be satiating that need to want to be, have that niche. I like my niche. So, with that in mind, we are getting into the last 10 questions of this stream. Do you have anything else to say? I'll just bring up before we get into those last 10 questions.
No. I get the feeling about. There you go.
Well, how dare you, Vega? How dare you?
I agree, Vega is a base color. Yes, this is another purple man. Vega, you love purple as well? Now you become my best friend, just like that. Thank you.
That's all I gotta say, Vega. How dare you support me and be wonderful? How dare you?
Let's go.
This is my show. You can't support me. You can't show me love and support because I show love and support to you. Except. All right. Well, with that in mind, why don't we get into our?
Let's get into the questions. If you survive the Dr. Peppers.
If I survive it, here's hoping. All right. So. It's time for me to ask my last 10 questions. Oh my goodness, my UI just doesn't want to work. There it is. So, these are 10 questions that I got from famous writer, actor, director James Lipton that he would often ask his guests at the end of his show inside the actor's studio. And these questions have no right or wrong answers. They're just questions for you to answer so we can see what your responses are. Now, for those who have not seen it before, or who have not seen these questions, I encourage you to answer along in the chat. Without further ado, are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Khaiden, what is your favorite word?
This is going to be a bit too obvious, but it's actually dimension. Specifically with that pronunciation, dimension.
I see. Can you expand on that?
Well, I just like the way it sounds. There's something very fancy about it. And when you say it like that, dimension, kind of like there's something kind of wicked about it, like the word maniac, kind of like insanity. I was going for that word, but it's not quite as good as dimension, I think. And of course, a dimension can mean multiple different things. It can mean another universe. It can mean something like, the dimension on the cube or the square or something like that.
Well, in that case, a dimension is, be some grandiose thing or some brand new view. And saying dimension can maybe sound a little bit diminutive. It's dim as opposed to.
It's fine too. I just like to be fancier.
It is fancy
because I'm fancy like that.
There you go. What is your least favorite word?
It's jaded because well, it's one of those because it sounds like such a positive word. It's like you're draped in gold, you're gilded. You're jaded. Oh, thank you. Yes, I think I'm covered in jade, like a monarch, like a ruler. No, it means you're a very cynical and a person that assumes the worst. Like, why are you making a negative word sound so good? I hate that. So I hate jaded for that reason. Yeah.
It's okay. This happens.
Yeah. Don't be jaded enough to throw too much Dr. Pepper. Am I saying that positively or negatively? Who knows?
So the word jaded makes you kind of jaded.
You see? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy even. I'm too jaded to appreciate why the word jaded means that. There we go.
Hey Brendan, I have a question for you. How come did you intentionally leave out the comma there? Because without the comma it just says eat pepper scum. And I don't know what pepper scum is. Unless you want to call me scum. In which case, you need a comma after that pepper. That way it's eat pepper, comma, scum.
I don't like the sound of pepper scum. That sounds...
Would you say it like that? Sounds like you're jaded.
There you go. I'm jaded on jaded. Oh my god, I didn't
How
even
very
realize
topical.
the fun this was gonna be.
Let's not ask what pepper scum is.
Oh my god. These are only the first two questions.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally, or in other words, what motivates you?
Well, to say it in a few words, to have like this weekend is a really good example of that. To have big events happening around me, to have like a big event feel going on around me, or at least to have people around me working. I guess I am the sort of person that if I work in an office and people are working as well in the office, that helps motivate me. I really work well with stuff like body doubling, right? I have Lo-Fi Girl on my other monitor, for example, let's say. And to see her work or to have a stream of somebody doing that is really nice. I tend to have live streams open all the time, also because I like watching them, right? As a fellow VTuber, let's say. But also because it makes me feel like life is alive. Like I'm alive. I feel very alive with that. And especially when there's stuff like this weekend, the Summer Game Fest yesterday, the VOD going on, the VOD going on, and I'm also a guest in it.
The VOD.
Stream. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's a new thing.
Oh, really? Nobody has said it like that before?
Nobody said it. Nobody said VOD.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Oh, that's surprising. Well, there we go. Happy to be the first one.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, tomorrow I have a special F14 stream and you know, big events like that going on, and then people also working. There are many VTubers streaming right now while we're doing our thing, and that makes me feel very alive. Yeah, to feel very alive like that.
There you go. So what turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally? In other words, what demotivates you? What makes you lose your passion or your fire?
To have like I had better phrasing for this earlier, but like deadlines, but like in a bad way. Like limits just depress me. I hate limits, obviously. Saying things like that, but limits, time limits like that, like even something like, oh, I have an appointment after this in 2 hours. I gotta wrap up the stream. This is pressuring me. I don't like this sort of pressure. And anything that is anxiety inducing like that for me really kind of turns me off like that. Like I don't respond well to it, even if it happens often.
Yeah.
So yeah, stuff like that, I guess.
It makes sense.
Stuff like that. Even though I work with deadlines a lot, like that's understandable, of course. But I forgot how I was gonna phrase it. But like the bad ones, the ones that are not fair, let's say, but they're forced on you because you have no choice or something like that. Stuff like that. Yeah.
What is your
yeah?
What is your favorite curse word?
This word, when I first learned it, I was really thinking about this question, but I think it's asshat, because when I first learned that word, I was laughing for like such a long time. I didn't realize it was an actual word. I thought they made it up. The person that said it, asshat, like asshat. What? Who comes up with that? What the heck is that?
You telling me you have?
And I laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. It's such a funny mental image. Asshat. I don't know. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
You know, that is a very funny word that you don't see as much anymore.
We need to use it more often. Use it more often.
Well, it's the creative ones, like seeing seeing somebody get called denthead is just a funny just a funny thing. So
yeah. Oh, we could go on and on with those, but yeah, let's leave it at that.
What sound or noise do you love?
I've been getting really into pink noise, white noise, brown noise. I'm just gonna put them all as one sound lately. Figuring into what I said earlier, right? Like having Lo-Fi Girl in the background. Let's say I have a stream where they're playing Lo-Fi music. I tend to also play brown noise or white noise or what have you while I'm also playing that music. And it's really nice for like making me feel in a great zone for focusing and just like doing things, being productive and all that. I guess I'm one of those people that works well with those. And there's something very like comforting about it, like like being comfy in an airplane. Not the brown note, brown noise, something different. There's also pink and white noise. Let's say that instead, white noise. They're really nice. There's something really nice about it. I probably don't go for it for like 3 hours straight, but like even just 30 minutes of it, listening to it while I do my tasks, depending on what I'm doing, is really nice. I like that. I like those noises. Yeah, I work with them.
They're good noises. What sound or noise do you hate?
Other people chewing loudly.
Ooh.
Even when it's not loud, but like there's no other noises around you, so you hear them loudly.
Ooh, I hate when people chew with their mouth open.
Yeah, like even if they're not doing it with their mouth open, like there isn't a lot of other noise. There aren't any other noises around you, so you hear them. And I try to avoid hearing that as much as possible. So I like if I'm eating next to them, I use the spoon very loudly on the plate or something, so I don't hear it. Or I even like sit away from the person. I don't care how rude it looks. I had a workplace where there was like the break room was very small and very like when you close the door to it, you could hear everything inside of it echo, and people would eat. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. I whipped out my phone and I started just watching videos on it loudly. I don't care that everybody else could listen to it. I'm not gonna hear you chew. No. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
There you go, Ayers.
So there you go.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Funny enough, this was my answer already. I was thinking about this before we talked about this today, but I'm gonna give two professions: either sound editor or video editor.
Don't do it. Sound editing's not worth it. No, I'm just kidding.
Because there's some fun in it if I were to dedicate myself only to that, or be more dedicated towards that, or at least be able to learn more on it. Like I guess in the sense that of somebody who does it who's not also a VTuber. Like I've done it, but I never would call it my profession at all. So in that sense, getting more into it, I guess, and learning some really, really great things in it, and appreciating it more as a fun, creative thing, maybe, instead of a thing I have to do because you gotta do it as a content creator, right? Hopefully that makes sense.
You wear many hats as a content creator.
Yes, that too. Having it more as a more permanent hat. If I were to try it as a profession.
What profession would you not like to do?
Yeah, chef or anything like that.
Really?
I don't think I would like it. I don't dislike it necessarily, but I hate all the time you have to take cooking and then also eating. It eats away at the time in your life. That's what it does.
Really?
Couldn't resist the pun. Sorry.
I think that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. I'm the kind of person that prefers to do something else for the most part. Although I also find myself splurging on a pizza, and my day is made because of that. But also when you do it as a profession, from what I see, is very intense and very anxiety-inducing. And it's like, if I dislike it out of it, I mean, I don't necessarily dislike it, but it's like sometimes I'm like, I'd rather order. I don't want to cook. Most of the time, it tends to be like that with me. So to have it as a profession, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of Gordon Ramsay too much. I don't know.
For me, it's the opposite. Cooking is a cathartic release for me. Where
perfect.
I love cooking, and it's a big part of my life. Where it's a thing that I control what all I do, how much I put in, how much I take out, and cooking for myself is nice. But I love cooking for others because it's that feeling of cooking. Food is always tastes better when it's cooked by somebody else.
Yeah, that's so nice. That's so nice.
Plus, I love making my mom's fettuccine recipe. It's beautiful. It's good.
Oh yeah.
So
that's wonderful. Let's go.
So our last question: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
So, Khaiden Tajigen, where would you like your isekai to be? That's it.
Yeah?
Yes, you get to retain all your memories. How do you want to do your isekai now? That's it.
Isekais are
I'm
canon.
going to get isekai. God tells me, yes, you are going to get isekai with all your memories. We can make it be OP if you like. We can make it be underpowered if you like. We have a sci-fi world, a fantasy world. We can have a harem or not, however you prefer it. How do you want to do it, Khaiden? Yeah,
How do you want
that's
to do
exactly
indeed?
what I want to hear.
Well, with that in mind, those are our last questions. So how do you feel?
Let's go. Oh, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for allowing my yapping over and over, Val. Hopefully I didn't yap too much. Sometimes I feel like you got to stop me because
Not at all.
I can go on and on and on.
Trust me,
So yeah, it was.
that's what I
Mhm.
live. That's what I live for. Is just the on the show at least where I get to talk as little as possible and my guest gets to talk as much as they want because that's the purpose of the show. Is we listen and we hear what you have to say.
Well, perfect. Thanks for allowing me into the show, accepting me into it
Of course.
after my crazy performance in the Master Duel tournament.
Oh,
So yeah,
that was a time and a half.
yeah. So
So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I would love to be back, or also do something with you. Definitely keeping your projects in mind
well, that sounds
for what we
awesome.
might do.
Sweet.
Hmm.
Well, like I said, guys, if you're not a part of the Discord, join the Discord because we got a lot of fun things that happen there.
Hmm.
So, without further ado, it's time for me to ask our last, and in my opinion, our second most important question. That is, who shall we raid that we have not raided before? And while you figure that out, once you get that answer, put that in the stream chat for all to see. And while you do that, I will talk to our lovely chat here. Guys, this has been another fun episode of the VOD where we got to have a lot of fun conversations and a lot of fun insight, to say the least. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today, and I hope you can see me next week as we continue our stream journey and we have our next episode of the VOD. You can go and support me on Twitter, on YouTube, and on, well, currently here on Twitch. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube, I do have all of my past episodes of the VOD up, and you can see the cringe get dialed up the further back you go. I mean, this episode is pretty cringe because I'm here, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? Ayo, no, okay, no high five. So, without further ado, who are we going to raid?
Let's see. Wow, most of the people I would rate right now are not online right now. So, give me one more second for this.
Sure.
As I see, I also try to make sure, like, it's not always the case, but like if they've been live for 8 hours, they might be about to end their stream. So I also take a look if they're transitioning to an ending soon screen. Maybe let's avoid them. But okay, let's go for this person here.
Sure.
Let's go for X Shizu-chan. Shizu-chan. Currently going through Destiny 2.
Sweet. And one thing I'll
let's
say.
drop the rate on them.
Let's see. Let me type.
Exactly as it is there in the chat.
And they are a VTuber, correct?
Yes, they are.
Sweet. So, guys, I hope you can join me next week. This has been a lot of fun. Again, if you missed it from the beginning, we will be having the VOD. Going forward, it'll either be once a week or we're going to be having it earlier in the week. Regardless, I hope to see you there. Thank you for that, Ichi. I appreciate that. Without further ado, why don't we get into this? My name is Val. This is the great Khaiden Tajigen, and this has been the VOD. So without further ado,
Thank you so much for having me. Otsukai-sama.
Heck yeah. I will see you guys later. Bye.
Bye bye.
Yo, oh shit. Oh man, yo, what? No, we died. Hey, Valentine. I like that. Valentine, that's a pretty cool name. What's